Hello, friends. Welcome. I'm here with none other than Miss Julia. She is a badass, just completed Thyroid Revive, and I brought her on to chat with her to discuss, her overall experience with Thyroid Revive. And I mean, I think you've done a phenomenal job, right? And you've seen a lot of great changes, and I think you need to share it. So you've been in this obviously for a solid 3 months, and there's, I guess, a lot of insight for you that you could touch on, right? You think?
Mm-hmm.
So I think really there are several things I want to ask you here, but I think to start off with, I want to know this. I don't know if I even asked you, but before you even met me, found out about this program, what was it for you that was the deciding factor for why you even wanted to transform your health and get this Hashimoto's under control?
Yeah. So, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I had been, so before I even knew I had Hashi's, I had a slew of other problems mainly from competing and in bodybuilding and having years of eating disorders, that had just culminated in a ton of health problems. And I thought I had them solved, but then a whole slew of other symptoms came on, and I didn't know at the time, but they were all Hashimoto's symptoms. I have a history of thyroid problems in my family, and I knew it was potentially going to be a problem in my life. But basically, I was not functioning like a normal 26-year-old person. I could not. I would have terrible, both insomnia and sleepiness in the daytime. My fatigue was out of control. I could not keep my eyes open at work. I had terrible temperature regulation. My cravings were crazy. I could not control what I would just eat incessantly or be not hungry at all. There was just an onslaught of things that were keeping me from being able to just live normally. And it was getting so bad that it was interfering with my work and my relationship with my partner. And both of those things are the two most important things to me in my life. So the interference that it was having and not being able to just live normal for one, but then, pursue the things that I want to do on top of that was, I just had had enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of reached this breaking point where I had tried a bunch of things, and I had done a lot of different diets and taken a lot of different supplements and worked with a lot of different doctors, and it just wasn't going anywhere. So I started looking for other solutions.
How many years was that going on for? Do you know? An idea?
So before I figured out I had Hashi's, that was in January of this past year. I had hypothalamic amenorrhea for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I had eating disorders before that for 7 years. So it was a long time of a lot of problems, that I'm just started healing. But I think I've made really good progress over the last 6 months.
Yeah, totally. What did you believe about your health, right? When you had been diagnosed with Hashimoto's, did you have any sort of idea of what your health circumstances would be like? What your fate might be?
So I had really mixed feelings, because I was hearing one thing from Western doctors and I felt something different inside. So I was hearing a lot that, oh, well, this is just going to be the rest of your life. We'll just let it run its course. And then when you're 30, we'll take your thyroid out.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things, or some doctors are even no, you're too young to have that kind of problem. That's not actually what you have. Just totally negating my experience. But my belief was, at some points I did have that self-pity where oh, maybe this is just the rest of my life and I just have to deal with this now. Or maybe I need thyroid medication. But then there was that other part of me the fighter part where I was like, no, this is not the rest of my life. Like, I'm really young. I'm otherwise extremely healthy. There's no reason why this has to drive my life and like have this big of an impact on me. And there has to be something I can do about it. So I had those like two different dichotomies pulling at me, and I decided I was going to do something about it rather than just let it run its course and get so bad that I would need to get my thyroid removed and in order to, live semi-normally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the sort of, common theme I think I see a lot is like you think you're stuck and that, you're doomed because the doctor says this, but then you also intuitively feel like there has to be a way out. There has to be a solution to this, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that you more or less trusted your instinct on that point?
Yeah, I think so. Like I could have just like been passive, I guess, and let other people dictate what I need to do with my health and just listen to the doctors like I've been trained to do my whole life. Just do what they say.
Yeah.
But no, I had to when I started recovering from eating disorders, one of the biggest things is you have to listen to your intuition, right? You have to listen to your body. And so starting to do that, sorry, I'm in downtown San Francisco. It's really loud. So one of the things with that is starting to listen to your gut and follow what it says to do. And part of what it says to do in that situation was to take control myself. Like no one cares more about my health than me.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to finally step up and do something about it.
Awesome. Very true. Good. So can you go over sort of the most prominent symptoms that were standing out for you before you started, or really just in general when you were diagnosed?
Yeah. So probably the biggest things for me were I've always been an athlete, and I've always had really good metabolism and way to deal with food. And I was just out of nowhere, just putting on a lot of weight. And I had no idea where it came from. I was eating the same as before and just started gaining weight and couldn't lose it. I was all of a sudden very sluggish. I didn't want to go to the gym. I had horrible fatigue. I could not stay awake. The fatigue and the brain fog were probably the biggest things that were triggers and definitely showed me something was off. Yeah. Because this is common with Hashi's people, but I'm a high achiever. I work a lot. I like to work a lot. And I like, to be perfect at everything I do. So the brain fog thing was really a sign that something was off. I couldn't concentrate at work. It was getting in the way of getting this promotion that I wanted and pursuing my side businesses. And I couldn't deal with it. It was so bad. I could not think straight. I couldn't remember things. I would walk into a room and completely forget what I was doing all the time.
Yeah.
And it was just not me at all. That was not my normal way of thinking. And I just couldn't function. So those were probably the biggest things. And then I had other things like really dry eyes, and skin and brittle hair and nails, and just things that irregular cycles, pretty much all the symptoms. But the brain fog and the fatigue were the most intrusive and the biggest ones for me.
Got it. Yep. So when you first heard, well, first off, how did you even find out about me? I don't even know if I know.
I started following you on Instagram a long time ago. I think when I was first deciding I needed to recover from hypothalamic amenorrhea, because I heard about you. I think I heard about you from Brittany Lesser's podcast.
Yes.
A long time ago. Yeah, because I was getting off of hormonal birth control. So I listened to your interview about that, and then I started following you. And I just really liked how real you were, and how you had like, I don't know, I think the thing I liked the best about the program was the mix of like science and data, but also like energy healing and getting to the root of things, and like trauma healing. Those things combined, I think, is what drew me or kept me following you
Got it.
over time.
Yeah, yeah. So with that being said, I mean, what were your initial thoughts? I mean, about Thyroid Revive when you first joined? I mean, obviously you saw a need to pursue this. Like, well, what got you like over the edge? What got you interested in signing up? And and then again, what did you initially think when you started?
Mm-hmm. So when what got me interested was I joined the Hashimoto's Academy group, and I saw a couple of women who had started Thyroid Revive who were already having success from it, and they were talking about it, and I was interested. So when we hopped on the phone and talked about it, I was still a little bit hesitant, but I kind of, like we were talking about before, like I kind of just knew I needed to do something, and all the shit I'd been trying before wasn't working.
Yeah.
So continuing to do it on my own obviously was going to continue to not work. So I decided, I trusted you. I'd been following you for a long time. I really liked your approach and information. So I was like, if I'm going to trust anyone and ask them to guide me, it's going to be Justin. So that's what I felt when I joined the program. And then when I first started it, I was expecting like a how-to, I guess, or like a step-by-step, like this is what you need to do to heal Hashis.
Yeah.
And like, I know you're laughing because like that's not what it is, but like that's definitely what I was expecting. But I'm really glad that that's not what it was, because I didn't just like follow these steps. It was actually like an immersive experience where I learned how to heal myself and not just the steps to heal myself.
Yes.
So it's like, instead of, it's like the not giving us a fish, but teaching me to fish instead.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So when would you say you first noticed any sort of improvement for you in terms of your fatigue, brain fog, and all the related symptoms you mentioned earlier? Do you recall the first time?
Yeah. So I started, I got this, like the recommended supplements pretty much right away, which were totally different than the ones that I had been using before, mostly, stuff I'd never heard of. And started like aggressively trying to heal my gut pretty quickly. And I noticed some improvements probably within like 3 or 4 weeks. It was clearer. And then by about like 9 weeks, like 8 or 9 weeks, I would say that it was like at least 60% reduced. And now at 13 weeks, I can honestly say that it's like mostly gone. Like there are still days where I'm like, shit, I'm really tired. But for the most part, like on a day-to-day basis, I feel normal.
So let's put it on a scale. Like I were to ask you on a scale from 1 to 10, right? 10 being the best state of health, 1 being the worst, right? Where you were when you started or before, and then where'd you say you are now?
So 1 is the worst.
Yeah.
I would say when I started, I was probably at like a 2.5. And
overall health.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're feeling it too.
Yeah. I was like outrageously inflamed.
Yeah.
So tired, just like dead. Like it was horrible. Couldn't eat carbs without feeling like I wanted to die. And now I'd say like 8.5.
Yeah.
per 9 on a daily basis. Yeah, I feel great.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. That's great. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
awesome. Um, yeah, great. So the energy got better, the concentration, that stuff got better. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on, or is it most of those two things?
I think those two things were really big. The other things that come to mind are gut health. Like I definitely had really bad leaky gut before, and I just didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's way better. I feel like there's always room for improvement, and I'm definitely going to continue to work on healing my gut before I reintroduce any offending foods. But that has been a huge, huge thing for me.
Yeah.
And then working on healing my insulin resistance has been another game-changing thing. Like it was really bad when I started, like
What tells you that? What
that
told
I had insulin resistance.
you?
Like when I would eat carbs, I would immediately start to, well, not immediately, but like half an hour maybe. I would feel super tired,
Yeah.
like just exhausted, and I would get like tingling feelings in my extremities, and like a lot of circulation all of a sudden. It was like weird. So yeah, I've been working on that, and I feel like I mostly have that under control, but that was like a big thing too. That was weird because that had never happened to me before. Like I used to eat like 400 grams of carbs a day and be like, feel great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you doing intermittent fasting or anything like that? I forgot.
Through this, no. So I used to when I was in bodybuilding, I did. But through this, and then like because of eating disorders too, I've tried to like focus intensely on balancing my blood sugar.
Right.
So I've been eating like 3 meals a day, no snacks, like keeping them, appropriately spaced apart to give them time to digest and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been working really well.
Yeah, plus you're on a bunch of botanicals like berberine that helps tremendously with that lipoic acid,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, totally.
cool. So this is a real important question, I think. So you have these great outcomes, right? Moving in the right direction. So obviously, I would think you might agree that this is sort of like a means to an end. It opens up a door to go down a new path, right? To explore new things. So, what would you say this allows you to do? Like, what would you say like this level of success, getting better, has allowed you to do, or is going to enable you to do that you couldn't do before? Is there anything that comes to mind for you?
Oh, do you mean like health wise or like life?
Yeah, like new things, because having energy, having concentration, having the ability to remember things is great, but really for a bigger purpose, right?
Yeah, totally. So, the first thing that comes to mind is that in the time that I've been in the program, I actually ended up getting that promotion that I wanted. So that was really cool. And now I'm like hoping for another one in a couple months. So that was a big thing. I've definitely been able to it's enabled me to be a way better partner because I don't need to focus so much on myself. My health is like not the forefront of my mind all the time anymore. So I can actually put energy towards another person, which has been great. And now, since I don't have to focus entirely on, okay, I have to heal myself like as the main driver in my life, I can start thinking about like, okay, now I really want to go travel, or maybe think about moving to a different city, like all these different things that are always yeah they've always been in the back of my mind, but just are not. I just didn't have the energy to focus on them before, and now I can.
Yeah.
really think about like, you know, all the other stuff in life that's important and not just focus solely on my health.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because that was exactly what I think I told you in the beginning is like, you have to spend a short amount of time being selfish, right? But in the end, you're going to be selfless because now you don't have to worry so much about this. And you can live your life, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought for like when I first started the program, I was like, this is like probably one of the most like self-indulgent things I've ever done is investing in myself like this, but it's so worth it because now I don't have to think just about me and I can really start to think about how I can impact people around me because I don't have to focus on myself so much.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Nailed it. That's great. Awesome.
Yeah. I think something else that also comes to mind is that I feel like way more empowered to take control over my health and to like push back on medical professionals. Like, I mean, I think in general, we're socialized to just like take what the doctor says as the gospel truth. And that's, I mean, no one's to blame. It just makes sense, right? They're supposed to be the authority and they're supposed to know the answers, but they're just people and they don't always know the answers. And no one cares about your health more than you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, I just feel way better now about like asking for what I need and pushing back and getting the answers I need. Whereas before I would have just like accepted what they said.
Yeah, that's great. Yep, very true. Okay, so I think closing here, I got one or two left I'm thinking of. So how would you, so somebody who is potentially watching this, wants to learn more about Thyroid Revive, obviously it's very different. So how would you describe this to somebody who's completely clueless in a way that is understandable, right? And would allow people to make their own, right, informed decision, I suppose.
Yeah. So I think that if, like I said earlier, if you're looking for a program that tells you exactly what to do step by step, this isn't the right one for you. Because that's not what it's for. But it is for, and like the way that I think of it is like a series of, like, it's almost like a class.
College course, yeah.
Yeah, but like the class is learning how to empower yourself and listen to your body and actually respond to what your body is asking you for and do the appropriate things. Like, I mean, every week in our conversations with the other Thyroid Revive girls, everyone's doing different things and they're working for everyone in different ways or not working. And you have to change it a little bit and listen and respond to your body effectively. But like, yeah, like there are some girls eating plant-based and some doing basically close to keto and everything in between and different supplements work for people and other ones don't work for other people. And it's just like, yeah, it's not, like I said earlier, I was expecting it to be a step-by-step and it wasn't. And I'm so grateful that it wasn't because it's like a guiding light to help you deal with your Hashis, not anyone else's.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So how else would you, how else would you say it's different?
Yeah. There's a second part I meant to touch on. So it's besides the like health part, that's the clear stuff you need help with. Beyond that, I think that the biggest thing that makes the program different is the focus on getting to the root of why you have an autoimmune disease in the first place. That is something that I never encountered in any other work I'd ever done before on healing myself. And it was probably the most helpful. Because like, I don't know, if you're diligent, you can tear the internet apart looking for the right supplements and trying to get the diet down to a T and, work with a nutritionist or whatever. But the other stuff, the getting to the root of where your autoimmune disease came from and learning how to release that and how to overcome that, that is what made it a totally different program and so worth it.
What did you like personally the most about it? Just curious.
I think probably the letting go of the trauma piece. That was a really big one for me. There's like a lot of things that I think I talked to you about this before. There's like a lot of things that I had put away in my mind and just decided I wasn't going to deal with them and just let them sit. And maybe if I let them sit long enough, they would just disappear. And I would never have to deal with them. And that's not true at all. They come up, and they come up in very unique ways. And I think one of the ways was this disease. So once I learned how to bring that back up in a way that was constructive and that I could deal with and start to let the people in my life help me with those, that was like game changing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, I mean, because we touched on that like several times, how like if your body is dysfunctional, so will your mind and spirit be, right?
Yeah.
So you can probably sense a shift, right? Once you heal that, or you start moving in that direction, so that your body, mind, and spirit are now all coherent, right? Very cool. So I think the last thing I'll ask you, Julia, is because, you know, there's a lot of people out there who are struggling with Hashimoto's, and they have been having this question, asking themselves this question of, do I continue to keep pursuing a new solution or find somebody who will help me, or do I just give up and throw in the towel? Like kind of what you were talking about in the beginning about this dichotomy that you've been, you know, that you were thinking about, but ultimately you went in the better direction. So what would you say to somebody who's been struggling with Hashi for 7, 8, and 10 plus years, you know? What sort of advice would you have for them?
Yeah, that's like, I would just say it's like, this is just kind of blanket advice for anyone, I think, with an autoimmune disease, but you only have one body. And if you believe in like eternal souls, then you have a soul that will last forever, but right now in this lifetime, you only have one body. And not doing everything in your power to take care of it doesn't make any sense to me. So if it's sick, like if you had cancer, you would get chemo, right? Or you would do something to get rid of your cancer. So I don't think, in my mind, there's no difference between having an autoimmune disease and having cancer. One might kill you a little faster, but they both need to be healed. And most people aren't going to try to cure cancer by themselves. So there's no difference between the autoimmune disease and cancer in my mind. So my advice would be to try or heal your autoimmune disease, because it's your responsibility to take care of your body, and you don't need to do it alone. I think so many people have pursued solutions for years, but by themselves. Like, I tried to heal my eating disorder multiple times without asking anyone for help, and it didn't work. Not surprising. So ask for help. Be okay with that. It's like the first step in recovery, I think, is learning to be okay asking other people for help.
Yeah. Well said. Very true. Okay, cool. I don't think I have anything left for you. Anything you wanted to spit out? Any final words, or?
I'll just add what I told you in the beginning before we recorded, which is that I have done a lot of programs, and they've all promised one thing or another. And this is the first program they've ever done that has been 100% worth the investment I put into it. And I would do it again.
Well, you have access to it for the rest of your life, so I hope so.
Yeah. You know what I mean.
I know, I'm kidding. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really, I mean, you're a joy to have, and I'm just so happy for you and your success, and I'm really grateful for you to be in this, truthfully. I can end the recording now, we're done.